Okay, so this is just a quick video, bit of an introduction to Rust Asset Exporter. Currently on 2.0, I think the last video I did was on 1.2 or 1.4. A few things have changed since then, so I'm going to just recover things from the beginning, as well as covering some of the new features. And get started, all you've got to do is file, load file, and navigate to wherever Rust is installed. Mine's under Steam, so I'm going to go for Steam, Rust. I can go to bundles and locate the file called bundles. This is the manifest file. So we'll load that. It will take a minute to generate the type tree, and then you'll see a pop-up for bundle selection. Now, in previous updates, you had to be very selective over the bundles that you were loading to make sure you didn't run out of memory. It was very memory intensive, and it was also quite slow. With the latest 2.0 beta 4, things are much quicker. So you can be a lot less picky about what you're loading, and if you really want to, you can load everything. The only thing that is essential that wasn't essential in the previous video that I made was asset scenes. Deactivating this will cause things not to load properly. You need to make sure you've got that loaded, and yeah, the rest of them you could just load everything. I'm not going to load audio because that's just a waste. Items that preload is also not needed, but I will load it anyway. Same with skinnables and maps. But I'm just going to load everything but audio. Currently, it's not something that RE exports, so just load that. Now, the first asset scenes.bundle will take around about 30 seconds or so, as it does have 5 million objects within it. So it does take a little moment, but the rest of them should now be around 4 times quicker to load with the new optimizations. And then the texture bundles, which were the big one that ate everyone's RAM and were really slow to load, should be almost instant. So when you get towards the end, you'll see it will pretty much shoot by. It's already gone past that first one, and we'll just wait for us to load. Now it's all loaded. You will have seen this pop up. This is basically the directory for all of Rust's files, and it will show all game objects, not just exportables. So not everything you'll find in here will have a 3D model associated with it, but it should contain everything. Most things you'll find will be within prefabs. As you can see, multiple categories here you probably recognize: building, food, player, tools, weapons, etc. There will also be a bunch of things in bundled prefabs. These will mostly be generated stuff, stuff that gets automatically placed on a map, will often be contained within here. So it's worth searching there if you're trying to find those kind of map stuff and place things manually. Of course, we do now have the new map tools. To begin, we'll just go within prefabs, weapons, and AK-47. Now you'll see there are multiple models here, and you might be confused which ones to select. So generally, there's a few. You will have the world model, and if I load this straight away, you'll see it will load in text view. But for models that do have a 3D model, you can switch to 3D view. If it doesn't have a model, it will just jump back to text view. As you can see, the world model is kind of what you'd expect, but this is what would get placed down on the ground if you were to drop an item. The mesh is lower quality than some of the other ones, and in some cases it will look completely different. You know, if you drop down a hoodie, it will look like a folded hoodie rather than it being player wearing it. Now, the highest quality models will be the view models, as they're shown up close to camera, but they will also come with an armature and arms. As you can see, this has got a full armature on it. That's what that skeleton is. So it'll be posable. And then you've got your entities. These are how they look when another player is holding it. So these are kind of animated but third person. And generally, these are the ones that are most easy to use, unless you want to do a close up, in which case I would recommend getting the view models and just deleting the arms. Just because if you look at like the magazine here, this is actually all modeled. versus just being a general shape and lower poly count. If you're skinning models, again, view models are the ones you're going to want because they are highest quality version of the mesh. But we're just going to export the entity for now because that's the easiest. We're not going to get into deleting arms and whatnot. And to export anything, just bottom left, export selected, and choose where you want to export it. And export it there. And it should process pretty quickly. So long as you've got the texture bundles, it should also come in automatically textured. To go along with that, I'm going to build a player. Unfortunately, player got prefab and the native tools I haven't currently added, but they are a work in progress. So for now, what you'll be doing is building a player essentially from parts, and all of the player parts come under clothes. So under the clothes category here, you can see all of the different clothes you've got. But you also see skin, and under skin, you'll see things like, feet, hands, and that's how you'll be building your character. You'll be adding them bit by bit with what's referred to as merged export. So we'll start off with a face. We do have a search bar up the top. So if I search for a head, all the different things that come up, and we would just grab one of the heads. Let's grab Frank. They're all named within the files. Go, and we're going to right click on that and add to merge list, and it'll pop out another panel here. And these are all the prefabs that we're going to add together into one file to export together. And so long as merge matching armatures is enabled, they will all get merged into one posable model. So now we've got that. Let's go back to codes and see what we can add. So when we're adding parts together, if you've got an item of clothing that covers a body part, you don't need to load that body part. So we could load a torso there, but we're not going to. We're going to just add a hoodie instead. And prefab, you'll see there's female versions as well. So if you're doing a female character, obviously use the female versions because they are slimmer. And with two objects in this list now, if I click preview, you'll be able to see they're merged together. So one thing I will add is hands. So I'm not going to put any gloves on this character. So go hands.male, add those to the merge list, and then preview again. And we've got those. We're going to add some pants. Type it correctly. Pants to hide, pants to road sign. So we'll get some pants generic for these BDU pants. Let's just get those, add those to the merge list, and we'll add some road sign armor. Why not? Road sign. Merge list. Now if we preview all of that, see we've started to get things together. Vest, ballistic vest, add that. There we go, and now we're only missing a pair of shoes or boots to complete our character. So these are all different sounds, prefabs, clothes, frog boots, shoes, dog boots. And we'll add those as well. And now we should have everything we really want for our character, except for maybe we should grab him some hair. The hair is again the same, it counts as clothes. So we search for hair, there's a bunch of different hairstyles here, female ones and male ones, mid-length hair, buzz cuts. I think we'll go with the mid-length hair, the male one, and add that to the merge list. Now if we preview all that together, we should have complete character build. If you want to add a beard, you could. If they're naked, there's also leg hair and pubic hair if you really want to add that. And there's also the pants, which is just a variation on the legs. And you can see we've got our complete character here ready for exporting. So if we give it a name, we're just going to call this test character. And export merged with merge on, which is enabled, and then select. That will export all of those, all the necessary textures, and it will texture them for you. The only essential thing is when you're loading it into Blender is that you use the importer provided. So that's all exported now. We're into Blender, and I have enabled that GLTF Rust importer. So under my import settings, I can the Rust model.glb, and that's what we'll be importing through. Do that, go to where we just exported, that's one from earlier, and if for anything other than the merged character, it's going to preserve the directory structure that we went through. So to get to that AK, we'll go through the same list we went through before. So assets, prefabs, weapons, AK-47, and there it is. Now, that's imported. I'm just going to add some lights to my scene. So I'm going to get some HDRIs, one of these, add some light to the scene. Or add a top light as well. So just area light above. Strength. Right. Now, if you were to jump into our rendered view of the background, so we don't see that HDRI, you can see that it has come through and it is already textured for you. Again, this is the entity model, so it's not the highest quality model, but generally, most stuff, unless you're doing a complete close-up, entity is perfectly fine. And yeah, we'll also add that player. And character, there we go. And we'll bring that in as well. And there we go. This is the character that we generated. As you can see, it's kind of using default textures for things. So this hoodie looks grey. In order to have different colors, it is just a series of masks. Go through changing materials in a different video. These are just how they come through from RE, which is a good starting point. You know, there's easy things you can add, like you want to add subsurface to your model. That's pretty easy to add. As you can see, he's now got a bit more life in his skin. The only thing I will change in this really is the eyes, as they are glossed over. And if you go just over the material panel for the eyes, just change the IOR to 1 and you'll start to see them, but they'll still be very dark. And that's because of this AO layer. There's a lot more cheating needed in games than when you're ray tracing, so not everything that's needed for the game you'll need to use the same. What we'll do is we'll modify this. We'll just add an add shader and a transparent shader. Now you should be able to see those eyes in there shining. A little bit dark with the lighting, but you should have a good starting point. And if we were to look at this guy's armature, I'm just going to turn on in front, viewport display in front. As you can see, he is all posable and ready to go. So, as far as characters and models exporting, that is the basics of it. And so I think it is pretty intuitive to use. I'll cover making thumbnails and animations and other bits and bobs later on, but this is just covering the export process and getting models out. As you can see, it's pretty easy, ready to go, pretty fast. Now, another feature that was added within RE was obviously map exporting. Well, there's map and demo exporting, but the process is roughly the same. So we're going to do file. You see there's load demo and load map. I'm going to load a map, and let's find the map here. Here's one, and it will begin to load that map. Now, the only thing worth noting with this is that eventually maps and or do expire. So if you've got a demo and you're loading an old demo, the map that's hosted online will eventually time out. You might load an old demo and find that the map is no longer there. You can load the map first and then load the demo stuff onto the map. But when you're just loading a map, you've got the file, everything you need is there. Now, it is completely possible, if you wanted to export a full map. But as there's a lot of objects, a lot of things going on, it will be incredibly slow. So I do recommend only exporting a portion. I mean, this is a huge map, as you can see. I don't know what it goes up to, but the representation is roughly the same as in game, so it should look and feel pretty similar to when you're working within Rust. But what we're going to do is we're just going to grab a section of the map. Now, since we do have the monuments bundle loaded, we can load a monument. So I'm just going to cover a section around here. And if you click select region, you can then drag, and that is the section of the map that you're going to export. You can adjust the terrain quality settings, with LOD0 being the highest quality, obviously the slowest. And there is options as well to spawn foliage and decor. Now, if you're doing a large area, especially if you're doing a full map, exporting that much foliage and that much decor will slow down your PC. For the sake of this video, I'm going to drop the decor down and drop the foliage down, just so it doesn't take as long. As you can see, we've got a section of the map here. If you wanted to do animation or a thumbnail within this section of the map, we're ready to go. There are filter options, and if you wanted to use those, so if you wanted to remove certain items, like some of the time you might be over the tunnels, and so if you're just drawing a section over the top of the map, you could end up inadvertently exporting all the tunnels underneath. So you can add paths like tunnel, and it should remove it. So with that filter applied and a region selected, we are going to just export. I'm going to go to our test exports and export. And it's going to take everything within that section and export it. This will take a bit longer, so it'll give me some time to explain what differs when you load a demo. When you load a demo, you will see across the map, you will see points, and there'll be color-coded points, and they are everything that was recorded in that demo, all the entities. So if you're just using a map file, you won't be getting things like bases, but maps don't contain that. Demo files do, which is why we use demos. And so if this was a demo file, you would see the entities on the map, and you probably draw your borders around those entities to ensure that you've captured your base or whatever it is you wanted to export from your demo. But as this is just a map, this is all we're going for. It's going to take a bit longer than exporting, single objects. So I'm just going to pause it until it's done, because I've got over 700 textures to export, so it'll take a little moment. And as you can see, that is now finished. So it did take a little while, especially if you're spawning foliage, because it adds a lot. I did produce it for the video, but you should see. Right, open new file here, and it's the same importer that we used before. So for that, let's go to where we exported it, and yeah, it will be named after the map you exported. Now, we do have generate Rust terrain and blend materials on, so it should generate all those terrain textures and that terrain mesh for you. And if we start that again, it will take a while. It's a big map, but yeah. Okay, so after that loaded, you won't see anything, and that's because the coordinates are the same as they were on the map. So we'd currently be looking at the center of the map, and you can see we've got all the items, but they're just not in the middle. And that's kind of on purpose. If I just scroll out, you'd eventually see them. But I'm just going to select something in the list and press slash or the period key if you're American, full stop, whatever, and it will jump to one of those objects. And now you can see that we are over by the area we have ported. Now, the reason it took partly so long is all the foliage and decor. As you can see, we've got all the grass, we've got the whole monument. We didn't get any of the tunnels underneath. But again, this should all come through textured. There are mixed materials on monuments that won't necessarily come through textured. Yeah, I'm going to switch to render view, but it might again take a moment. We now have a section of the map we exported there. And I think this is spanning nearly 6 grids or so. Now, if we jump back to RAE, I'll show the difference with the demo. So I'm going to load the old demo that I have. So I'll load demo. This one here. This is a custom map. It's going to look a bit different, but it does have demo recordings on it. And as you can see, custom map, it's quite different. But you can see down here, there is a collection of blobs. Each of these are entities. And so I know exactly where this demo is recorded. If you'd moved further through the map of the demo, there'd be more entities. There's a bunch here. So what I'm going to do is select region. I'm not going to generate foliage or decor this time, just to save on speed of exporting. And I'm going to export that to Geo. Test exports and select. And this is going to export the map as well as any entities that were on that demo file at that time. Now that's all loaded in, you can see the base that was stored in that map. And it should have all the conditional models, should be just like in game. Textures should work as well. Item here as always. There we go. As you can see, we've got fully textured base, and that base was made in that demo file and then recorded at the time. The only thing that won't be the same is it doesn't currently pick up on skin colors. So these might have been different colors in the game, but it will get the materials right. So these are all shipping container. But as you'll know, these will be probably different colors, of which you can change these manually. In future, I'll add that as well. But if you want to get base easily into Blender, just create the base within it, save it as a demo, and then from there you'll be able to import it directly like that. And that pretty much covers RAE in its current state of 2.0 beta 4. More features such as animations are coming down the line, as well as the character builder that I mentioned earlier. So it is constantly improving and will continue to get better. As always, it's available for my Patreon. If you do need it, just to help, you can message for our Patreon. But we do now have a Discord server, which will be linked in the description below if you need any help or have questions or even feature requests for future updates. Things will continue to improve. I know optimization times for map importing and demo importing is a big thing for people, and that is also being worked on. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, and hope you check out RE and make some cool stuff.